We have reached the point where a forum that pretends to give citizens the world, but instead presents a far too narrow slice of safe and sanctioned ideas, thought, and lines of inquiry, a place that has become an echo chamber for stories generated initially in a precious few places along the Washington-New York axis. Too often, this is what now passes for, quote, news. Also, we've become an institution that, for all of its resources, which have been shrinking dramatically, for all of the hard-won knowledge and day-to-day familiarity that the best journalists bring to the job, our craft is now scared to death to offer almost any independent judgment. Heaven forbid that we should follow up what the president, a senator, a congressman, a governor, or mayor says with some independent fact-based truth squatting, some good old-fashioned vetting of an elected representative's remarks. Not when we have available to us the safe route, which is to get someone from an opposing party or ideological camp to present their own competing spin. It's also developed a maddening reluctance to ask the all-important follow-up question of people in high places. Too often, we journalists ask what seems at first like a probing, substantive question. It seems that way. But after an answer that amounts to pure spin, we won't offer a follow-up that has a chance to call the subject on their spin. We're all too happy to play gotcha journalism when it comes to stories of prurient interest, sex scandals, celebrity trials, and the like. But when it comes to matters of true national and worldwide importance, we journalists too often have lost our guts. We need a spine transplant because now we suddenly become polite to the point of ineffectiveness, to the point of providing a megaphone for officially sanctioned propaganda. And speaking of the prurient, who among us will be the first to pledge a moratorium on filling the ever-shrinking news hole with garbage such as round-the-clock coverage of Anna Nicole Smith's drama or whatever's happening to Paris Hilton? Do any of us in this room think that this kind of so-called news is important? Do any of us think that Americans in some way lack other venues for learning about celebrities? I don't mean to sound callous, but in the case of Anna Nicole Smith, and I just picked that case out of one many examples, she was a woman who, by all accounts, and there were many, had a sad life and sadder death. But the day I'll no longer find that coverage odious and beneath us is the day we make room for wall-to-wall coverage of the lives of each soldier killed in the line of duty in Iraq and Afghanistan. But given the amount of grief that Ted Koppel received for merely listing the names of the war dead, as he did to his credit, we may not be seeing that anytime soon, which is to say, stories about the lives of soldiers killed in the line of duty in Iraq and Afghanistan that receives anywhere near the kind of play that the celebrity of the day, Lindsay Lohan, whomever, receives. And finally, with the current political season very much in mind, we might see, as we journalists look in the mirror, and as you, the consumers of journalism, look at us, a press that remains transfixed with behind-the-scenes campaign stuff, polls, and the political horse race, while consistently giving the issues and the real behind-the-scenes stories short shift. The biggest story in any modern American political campaign is the money. Who gives how much to whom, expecting to get what? That is the core of what should be reported about campaigns. Remember, I include myself in this criticism. It's what you hear all too seldom. Now, it's true that one reason you hear it all too seldom is in both parties, and even in some of the fringe parties, there's no transparency. If you try to find out in many cases who gave how much to whom, expecting to get what you run into is, sorry, you can't know that information, Mr. Journalist, which means you, Mr. and Ms. Voter, cannot find that information. Now, how many stories did we see at the close of this year's first fundraising quarter on the money race in this off-year election? I would submit to you, not many. And if you think about it, how many stories did you see quoting a poll about who's up this hour or this day, and compare that with the number of stories you saw exposing who gave how much to whom, expecting to get what. What you're going to see is on the poll list and the horse race coverage, a long list of stories. What you're going to see about the money, other than with very few exceptions, is about yay much. Yet out of all those stories, how many of these pieces delved into just where the money was coming from and why? Of all the stories you've seen, think about it for a second. And will we ever see follow-up pieces after a politician is elected that look at legislation, regulation that he proposed or wanted to stop, and appointments, and connect the dots to campaign contributions? You may see a few of those stories. I'll give you a Texas guarantee you will not see many, if any.